Consumer Reports just published the most brutal pickup truck verdict it has ever put on paper. Not a warning, not a caution flag. A score of 5 out of 100 for the brand new 2026 Ram 1500. 5. In 20-plus years of Consumer Reports evaluating pickup trucks, no full-size truck has ever scored that low. And the reason it matters beyond the headline is what it reveals about the entire segment, because pickup trucks built their entire reputation on being the toughest, most dependable vehicles on the road. That reputation is now splitting hard between the trucks that still deserve it and the ones that are quietly destroying it. Here is what makes the 2026 data genuinely strange. Ram and GMC trucks share platforms, engines, transmissions, and in some cases entire chassis with their sister brands. The technology inside a GMC Sierra and a Chevrolet Silverado is functionally identical in most configurations. Ram shares engineering DNA across the Stellantis portfolio, and yet the reliability gap between the best and worst trucks in this segment right now is wider than it has been at any point in the modern era. Same platforms, wildly different outcomes. That gap is what this breakdown is about. 7 truck years and trims that the data says to walk away from. 7 that prove the classic pickup reputation is still achievable in 2026 if you know exactly where to look. Before the list, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because this channel covers JD, Power and Consumer Reports truck data every time a major study drops, and the next video runs the same numbers on Ford and Chevy pickups with results that are going to surprise the people who assumed those brands were safe. Starting with the worst, and there is no softer way to frame this. The 2026 Ram 1500 scored 5 out of 100 in Consumer Reports evaluation, the lowest score the organization has ever recorded for a pickup truck. The root cause traces back to a parasitic proximity keyless entry system that drains the battery overnight. That might sound like a minor annoyance on a $30,000 economy car. On a truck that can push well past $60,000 loaded, a system that kills your battery while the vehicle sits in your own driveway triggers a cascade of electrical glitches, dead battery cells, and repeated dealer visits that Consumer Reports owner survey captured in detail. The truck's capability is not the issue. The electrical architecture managing it is. And its presence here follows a pattern that shows up across every brand this channel has covered. The first year of a major redesign carries risk that the manufacturer has not had time to identify and fix. The 2019 Sierra was the weakest tracked year of the current nameplate at 60 out of 100, accumulated 10 NHTSA recalls in a single model year, and generated below-average Consumer Report scores driven by transmission issues, four-wheel drive system complaints, and early electrical glitches. None of those problems are unique to GMC. All of them are predictable consequences of launching a new generation before the engineering has been fully sorted by real-world use. Which car complaints identifies as the single worst Ram 1500 model year on record. Hundreds of documented engine complaints, including stalls, warning lights, broken rocker arms, and camshaft and lifter failures that showed up with brutal consistency across owner reports. One documented camshaft and lifter failure cost roughly $6,800 to repair at just over 117,000 miles. For a truck that many buyers are financing over 6 or 7 years, hitting that repair bill before the loan is paid off is exactly the scenario the worst list exists to warn against. a span that brought widespread transmission reliability problems and specific engine knock issues concentrated in the 2014 and 2015 models. Some 2014 units were recalled over a fire risk. The fourth-generation Sierra is not uniformly bad, and later years in that generation are less problematic. But the early years of that run belong on the caution list for any used buyer shopping without checking the specific model year first. Which generated very high complaint volumes according to car complaints, carrying over the engine, drivetrain, and electrical issues that define the 2014 model's worst year status. Slightly less severe than 2014 in terms of raw complaint intensity, but not different enough in kind to take off the avoid list. If you are shopping older Ram trucks used, the 2014 through 2016 window is the one to treat with real caution. The luxury features that justify the $80,000 price point: massage seats, a multifunction tailgate, a multi-camera trailering system, draw continuous power even when the truck is off. The result is that owners of the most expensive Sierra configuration are reporting dead batteries and reaching for jumper cables in their own driveways. Paying the most money for this truck buys you a specific reliability headache that the base and mid trims do not have. That is the kind of detail that never comes up in a test drive. The lifter failure issue, tied to the dynamic fuel management cylinder deactivation system used in the current generation GMC Sierra and Chevrolet Silverado V8 engines. This system can run the engine on a fraction of its cylinders under light load, a fuel economy measure that has been linked in owner reports to premature lifter wear. Because GMC and Chevrolet share the identical drivetrain, this is not a Sierra-specific problem. It is a platform-level risk that any V8 Sierra or Silverado buyer from the current generation needs to have on their radar before signing. Now, the other side of this data, because the same segment that produced a 5 out of 100 score also produced trucks that prove the original pickup reputation is not entirely fiction. The 2026 GMC Sierra 1500 is the best tracked year of the current nameplate at 82 out of 100, with minimal owner complaints and 0 recalls on file. Put that number next to the 2019 Sierra's 60 out of 110 NHTSA recalls, and you are looking at the same nameplate delivering completely opposite outcomes 7 model years apart. The 2026 Sierra did not get there by accident. It got there because GMC had 7 years of real-world feedback from the current generation to identify and fix what the launch year got wrong. Is part of the same late-generation improvement trend and carries significantly fewer complaints than the 2019 and 2020 launch years. For a buyer who wants the current generation Sierra without paying 2026 model year prices, the 2025 is the used market entry point that inherits most of the engineering improvements without the new vehicle premium. Within the current 5th generation, the 2020 Sierra 1500 is specifically flagged by CarGurus as carrying high predicted reliability ratings from JD Power, making it a strong pick for used shoppers who want to stay in the current generation at a lower price point, despite the rocky 2019 launch year that opened this list. On the Ram side, the 2017 and 2018 Ram 1500 trucks represent the safer bets among older generation Ram pickups, described consistently as more manageable on complaint volume than the brutal 2014 through 2016 window. Not flawless, but a meaningful step down in documented problem frequency for buyers who need an older Ram and want to minimize risk. Top reported issues moved to minor annoyances, leaks, infotainment bugs, trim-related problems. What those model years are explicitly described as lacking are the engine horror stories that define the 2014 model year. That is a meaningful distinction for a buyer whose truck is essential to their work or daily life. Inside the current Sierra lineup, Consumer Reports data shows the 5.3-liter V8 drawing meaningfully fewer complaints than the 6.2-liter in the same truck. Both engines sit in the same cab, on the same platform, with the same features surrounding them. The displacement choice alone is enough to shift the reliability outcome. That is the kind of granular detail that a badge on a grill and a test drive around the block will never surface. Which carries an average reliability score of 83 out of 100, rated excellent overall. That average exists despite the rough 2019 launch year sitting inside it. Remove that year, and the trend line is even cleaner. The Sierra's generational trajectory is almost exactly opposite to the Ram's 2026 collapse, and that contrast is the core of what this video's data is actually saying. So, here is what 2026 pickup truck data looks like when you read it without the brand loyalty filter. The segment no longer gets a free pass on reliability just because it carries a truck badge. A 5 out of 100 and an 82 out of 100 existing in the same model year, in the same segment, proves the gap is real and it is wide. Shared platforms do not guarantee shared reliability. Trim level, model year, and engine displacement inside the same nameplate can completely change the outcome you live with for the next 7 years of loan payments. The badge on the grille tells you almost nothing on its own anymore. The specific year, the specific trim, and the specific engine are the variables that actually matter. If this breakdown kept you from a decision you would have regretted, hit the like button so more truck buyers see it before they sign the paperwork. Subscribe and turn on notifications because the next video runs the same data on Ford and Chevy pickups, and the results are not what most people expect. Drop a comment with the truck you are currently cross-shopping because there is a very good chance the numbers have something specific to say about it.